welcome to the Prophecy Club. I've got a little bit of an announcement to make to you. A few nights ago, sort of like all through the night, I kept hearing the Lord speak to me, and perhaps you've heard the phrase, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Well, that's not what I kept hearing all night long. I know it's funny, but it really spoke to me. There's more than one way to skin a fish. And I kept having this dream where my son that now runs Prophecy Club for us in Topeka, he's a man now, but at this time he was a child, probably teenagers. And all night long we were fishing, and I kept showing him how to clean fish. And I kept saying, there's more than one way to clean a fish. And I showed him that sometimes you cut the head off and then you get the guts out. Sorry to be a little graphic, but I mean, I'm just telling you what I got, okay? And then sometimes you cut the head off, then the bottom fins off, then you descale. In other words, there are several different ways you can scale or clean a fish. But I kept saying, but at the end of the day, the whole objective is to get the fish where it's ready to go into the frying pan. And when I woke up in the morning, I believe that what God was saying to me is that, Stan, you don't have to just and only get across the message, the warning of Dimitri Duduman. The whole point is to get the fish into heaven. In other words, the whole point is to fill up the kingdom of heaven. The point is to do fishing. You understand? That's what he's saying to me. But he's saying that the objective is to get people to heaven, to get fish in the boat, so to speak. The objective is to win souls, not necessarily to only get out the warning of Dimitri Duduman. Well, for some 24 years now, that has been the primary warning, the primary message that I've been trying to get out. Well, as a result, I've done a lot of praying about it, a lot of kind of soul searching and seeking the Lord. So what we have basically concluded in talking with by the way, my wife was delighted. She says, I've been thinking you need to do this a long time, as well as our staff. We're going to change the Prophecy Club broadcast and kind of our emphasis in our direction a little bit. Now, we still plan to do everything that we've done in the past, but we're going to add in a little bit more news. Now, here's the format that we're about to go to, and you may have noticed a difference in the format change in the last few broadcasts as we are in the process of moving to that format. But we're going to start bringing in more news, and to tell you how we're going to do this, we're going to bring in, as much news as we can possibly bring in one particular broadcast. And when we have a topic, we will have that well-researched from several different sources. Then we'll bring you that topic, and then I'll tie in to how that relates to Bible prophecy. So I've heard people say news in light of Bible prophecy. I'm going to say it's probably more accurate to say my heart is Bible prophecy as it relates to news. In other words, the whole point is not to bring you news. I mean, there's other news outlets that can do that. But what makes Prophecy Club special is my background in Bible prophecy. So that's sort of the direction we're about to head. I also want to really emphasize that it's very important that we get to this video sharing program. I think this is going to be real important. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say it's probably going to be more important for our listeners out there than it will the Prophecy Club. But, of course, the most importance it's going to build the kingdom of God in a very real way. And I'll continue to be talking about that as we're getting closer to exactly how that's all going to happen. So anyway, let's get on to what we want to talk about today. A little bit of the news. Essentially, we're going to be talking about two things today: war in Israel, and also what might be either war in North Korea or war in Israel. Okay, let's start with war in Israel. Leaders from the world's main Islamic body on Wednesday urged the international community to recognize East Jerusalem as the Palestinian capital. They invited all countries to recognize the Palestinian state and East Jerusalem as its occupied capital. They declared Trump's decision, quote, null and void legally, unquote, and a deliberate undermining of all peace efforts. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan convened the meeting seeking a coordinated response to Trump's announcement. Saudi King Salman and Riyadh echoed the call, saying it was the right of the Palestinians to establish their independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital. Israel views the entire city as its capital, while the Palestinians want an eastern sector, which the international community regards as annexed by Israel, as the capital of their future state. Trump's announcement last week prompted an outpouring of anger in the Muslim and Arab world, where tens of thousands of people took to the streets. Now, how does this relate to Bible prophecy? Well, you recall we had Prophet Ephraim Rodriguez come in to speak at the Prophecy Club. He had been given a vision that a large meteor will hit Mona Island, which is just west of Puerto Rico, causing a tsunami 1,000 foot tall at Puerto Rico, but it would then go up the eastern seaboard anywhere from 200 to 400 foot high and would hit the east coast of America, going inland, basically all the way to the mountains, some 20 to 100 miles inland, basically wiping out the east coast. But where it hits is significant. If that weren't enough, it gets worse. It hits an earthquake fault running up the Mississippi River Valley, which, by the way, we have this on a DVD, which you can get at prophecyclub.com. Matter of fact, I think we have a gift offer for this one and the other DVD that I made. The name of this one is called Catastrophe, Meteor, Tsunami, and Earthquake. But anyway, where it hits is an earthquake fault running up the Mississippi River Valley to the Great Lakes, splitting America from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and much of the West Coast from California all the way up into Alaska will fall into the ocean. Well, means this guy's going to come in, of course, and I've told this story many times. I had to check it out because the Bible says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. So if Prophet Ephraim Rodriguez of Puerto Rico is the only one saying there's going to be this meteor tsunami hit, we can ignore it. So did a little research. Well, unfortunately, I found there's 6 people that saw a large meteor hit near Puerto Rico. It didn't say it was in Mexico, didn't say it was in China. A large meteor hit near Puerto Rico. That's significant. 4 people saw this tsunami hit the east coast of the United States. 6 people saw it splits America in 2 pieces. 3 people saw large chunks of California fall into the ocean, and 9, hear this, 9 people saw that America is split because she split Israel. On November the 30th of 2011, Sundaros Alvarez says, and a mighty angel with a drawn sword appeared before me and said, Israel will be betrayed by her closest friend, and the nation that will betray Israel, the same fate will happen to her. Then a map of the United States appeared before the angel. Then the angel pulled back his sword and stuck it into the center of the United States and said, the nation that will be responsible for dividing the land of Israel will likewise be separated into 2. East Jerusalem will become the capital for the Palestinians, and West Jerusalem will become the capital for Israel. Now, that's significant because all of a sudden we hear just last week that Trump declares that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Of course, all the Jews, all of the people in Israel, and they all rejoice. They say that's wonderful. And I agree that that's correct. Matter of fact, I think, and the Bible clearly says, that not only is Israel belonging to the Jews, but basically from the Nile, that's about 1/3 of Egypt, all the way over to the Euphrates, going north to the river and down to the water, including most of Saudi Arabia, actually all belongs to Israel. And if we were to go in there and try to solve the Israeli problem by telling the Muslims to get out, then God would be with us and God would prosper it. But when we start dividing Israel, when we start hurting the Jews, when we start sticking our finger in the eye of God, hit the apple of God's eye, then that's a problem. Now, how's that fit in with the prophecies of other people? As you recall, on April 15th, 2002, Prophet Leslie Johnson was given a dream called Arafat in the hospital. Now, the reason this is significant is because 2 of the points have already come to pass, meaning this has already been confirmed to a certain degree, so we can trust it. And in addition to that, I think it was June 16th of 2008, when I was in Amarillo out on the 18-city speaking tour talking about oil in Israel, that night when the Lord spoke to me and said, quote, Stan, I will give you the money to drill the well in Israel. Now, anytime I talk about oil in Israel, I have to give you that disclaimer. And that is, I cannot guarantee that we're ever going to get the money drilled for or hit oil in Israel. And I heard that the rest of that evening, one of the things he said to me is that when those prophecies that I gave to your wife, and that's exactly the words he used, when those prophecies I gave to your wife begin to come to pass, then people from all directions will begin to turn and to listen to your ministry. Well, what was she given? April 15, 2002, I'm going to make this brief here. 7 points to the dream were, Arafat will go into the hospital and die there. When that was brought forth, April 15, 2002, Arafat wasn't even allowed outside of his compound, much less that he was going to go into the hospital and die. But 2 years later, 11/11/04, 3:30 a.m., just like she was told, Arafat died in the hospital. So this dream is confirmed. Next point is Israel will give the Palestinians a state. Now, brothers and sisters, that's important. That's big. That's probably the biggest thing you're going to hear this year. That's probably the biggest thing you've heard in the last year. Because that's saying that, yes, just as Joel 3:2 says, that they will part my land, this is saying that, yes, Israel will give the Palestinians a state. If you want to know about the trouble, or whether there's prosperity coming in the future, you watch Israel. As we treat Israel, God will treat us. We stick our finger in Israel's eye, and God is going to jab a sword in our eye. First point, Arafat going to the hospital. Second point, Israel will give the Palestinians a state. The Palestinian state would be a temporary measure to allow the Israelis time to strengthen the military. Then oil will be discovered in Israel. The oil will make the Jews willing to fight for their land. Israel and America will go against most of the rest of the Arab world. I think that's Armageddon. Now let's jump to the future. January 22 of 06, she heard these headlines. The first one was aloud like with her ears, okay? And then the rest of them, she heard words, but they were in her heart. A lot of people may ask me, would you give the actual order? So I'm going to give you the actual order. She heard them. This is what she heard. Israel refuses help to America. That's the first one she heard. Then the rest of them come forth in this sort of an order. Omar ushers in Palestinian state. One of America's greatest times of need. Israel is attacked. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel, and it will start with an internal revolution. As she heard my voice quoting Dmitri, fall of America will start with an internal revolution started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two other countries will attack and defeat America. You can get that in the book called Prophecies of the Fall of America. That book is available at prophecyclub.com too. Now, that's what she was told. But that order, in my opinion, doesn't exactly make sense with everything I understand. And he didn't necessarily tell her this is the order of them, so I'm going to reorder them. This is the order I think that they will be fulfilled. 1, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. And believe me, brothers and sisters, when that newspaper headline appears in any newspaper on the globe, when they do split Jerusalem, when they do give the Palestinians a state, and those words, Omer ushers in Palestinian state, when that hits a newspaper headline, Prophet Leslie Johnson is going to be the hottest thing on earth since Dmitri Duduman, in terms of Bible prophecy. And I think our life will change. I think that Leslie is going to be invited to speak in so many places, she probably won't have time to sleep. Let me go on. 1, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. 2, what do you think is going to happen? Immediately, when we split Israel, that's when this happens. Then God is going to turn around and split America. So the second headline, I believe, is Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Second headline is catastrophe hits America. In other words, that's the meteor. That's God splitting America. 3, one of America's greatest times of need. Well, I think so. I mean, our West Coast just got taken out. Our East Coast just got taken out. And we just got split from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. I think that's our greatest time of need. 4, Israel refuses help to America. So you got this picture. America twists the arm of Israel, takes Israel by the nape of the neck and shoves her face in the fact that she's going to give the Palestinians a state. As a result, God says, okay, you split my land, I'm going to split yours. So then he uses this giant meteor to split America. Obviously, that's catastrophe hitting America. Obviously, the next headline is one of America's greatest times of need. Then Israel, being mad at us for splitting their nation, turns around and says, nah, we're not going to help you. Headline is, Israel refuses help to America. 5, Israel is attacked. America sends troops. In other words, America is in shambles. She just had her east and west coast taken out and split in two. She's almost totally destroyed as a nation. So what do the enemies of Israel do? All the Muslims say, okay, there it is. Now it's our time. So they run down, they attack Israel. Well, as best as America can, she sends troops to help. That's point number 5. Israel is attacked, America sends troops. 6, chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. So we're going to see the CNN, the MSNBC, all the people that hate Trump, that are against Trump right now, that are also against Israel, you see. And they're going to stand up and say, why? How come we're sending Trump troops over to help Israel? Why, Israel didn't help us when we were down on our knees. Why should we help Israel? I'll tell you why. One of the major reasons God has continued to bless this nation is because this nation has blessed Israel. You remember the promise given to Abraham. This is one of his big and special, and one of his first promises. I will bless them that bless you. Now notice it didn't say I will bless them that bless you when you do good. I will bless them that bless you that you make happy. I will bless them that bless you when you've made the right choice. It simply says, I will bless them that bless you. So another way to say that, I will bless them that bless you even when you do wrong. So, brothers and sisters, as I've told my children, you never go against Israel. Never. Even when they're wrong. You never go against Israel. 7, then she heard my voice. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution. Now, let me summarize that. My order is Omar ushers in Palestinian state. Catastrophe hits America. One of America's greatest times of need. Israel refuses help to America. Israel is attacked, America sends troops. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. It will start with an internal revolution. Another point I think we're coming to here is Joel 3:2 says, I will gather all nations, this is Armageddon, and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat means judgment, and will plead with them there for my people. Now, pleading, that means he is going to hit them time and time and time again, trying to get them to back off before he finally pulls out the morning star. But when he pulls out the morning star, which is a light sword that comes out of his mouth, just like the 2 witnesses, if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. If any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. That's the morning star. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and his army. And the remnant were slain by the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. That sword, that is the morning star. So when all of these nations go down to attack Israel at Armageddon and Jesus returns, he uses the morning star because he is the brightest. He calls himself the bright morning star. And he also gives that morning star to some of the judges. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And I saw the souls of those that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, that had not worshipped the beast, neither received his mark on their forehead or on their hands. Those, my brothers and sisters, are the judges. Which, by the way, if you'll go to prophecyclub.com, sign up for our newsletter, you can get a weekly video update. And typically it's like 10, 15, 20 minutes long, where I talk about some of this stuff. And that was just on, I think, this past update or the past one. You can go back to listen. It's actually a video recording. Some of the past updates, and get all of the information there. Now, the reason we know that Israel's going to be victorious in the next war and the next war and the next war after that is because Amos 9:15 promises them they're never going to be pulled up out of their land. They will never lose another battle. Once Israel has been returned to the land, and she has, and she is, she'll never lose another war. Here it is, Amos 9:15. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled out of their land. which I have given them, saith the Lord God. America will turn against Israel. Terrible mistake. Jeremiah 51:24. And I will render unto Babylon, that's America, all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight. So this is saying that America there will easily turn against Israel. I want everyone listening to get to heaven. And also when you get up there, I want you to have a whole lot of blessings. Let's talk about our book of works for just a moment. Matthew 25 verse 14 says, For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling to a far country. Now it's referring to Jesus going up to heaven to prepare our mansions, who called his own servants and delivered to them his own goods, meaning given to him each talent or each ability, and also the gifts to tread upon scorpions and serpents and over all the power of the enemy. And unto one he gave 5 talents. Now a talent here is referred to a piece of money. I know the word talent also refers to as, like, say, for example, one person ability to sing, another person has an ability to teach, or one has a gift of math. That's not the kind of talent he's referring to, but that would also fit. In other words, anything that he has given us to serve him with would fit that word of talent. But specifically, in the example is talking about in terms of money. So he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1. To every man according to his several ability. Okay, now that word there, several ability, tells us that it's not just referring to money. In other words, it's a parable. It has a second meaning. Now, ask yourself this. What is your gift? I'm talking about your gift to serve the Lord. And yes, if you have a gift of math, did you know that math can serve the Lord? Any gift he's given, we can use it for evil, we can use it for good, just like a machine gun. You can use it to save life, or you can use it to take life. Everything that we've been given can be used to serve the Lord. Every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. And he that had received 5 talents went and traded the same, and made 5 other talents. And likewise, he that received 2, he gained 2. And I'm going to kind of shorten this. And he that received 1 digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, about 2,000 years we know, after a long time the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckons with them. So that he'd received 5 talents came, he presented another 5 talents, and he said, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler over many things. See, that goes back to, and I saw thrones, and they sat on them. Jesus is going to give some of us the ability to sit on a throne. See those 4 and 20 elders? They sit on seats. They don't sit on thrones. In order to be able to one that sits on a throne, you have to give your life, specifically you have to be beheaded in the face of the beast and resist him and not take the mark of the beast and not worship his image. No. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. I'll make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. That's the guy that has 5. Then to the guy he gave 2, he brought him back 2 more. He said the same thing. Well done, good and faithful servant. The guy he gave 1 didn't do anything with it, buried it in the ground. Then he says to this guy, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I had not sowed, and gather where I have not strawed. And then here's the way we say it. You knew I didn't give you as much as the other people, but you should have known I'm also a master that requires my people to serve me. Meaning to every one of us, we all have been given gifts and abilities. My question, everybody got to look in their own heart. Okay, just forget the radio program for just a second, okay? Everybody got to look in their own heart. You have to look in your own heart, and you got to say, am I doing everything for the Lord that I can? Am I doing everything I can to build his kingdom? Am I building my kingdom, my family, my neighborhood, my house? Everything I'm doing, is it for me, myself, and I? Or am I using my gifts, talents, and abilities to build his kingdom? See, this new program, which I'm going to go ahead and release the name, is called Watchman's Trumpet. This new program, this new computer program is going to give you the ability to send out our DVDs to your fellow brothers and sisters, your friends, anybody you meet that you have an email. You're going to be able to send them a gift coupon to watch a DVD or several DVDs. That is going to allow you, okay, try to imagine this. Try to imagine you got a box at your front door, and it was filled with Prophecy Club DVDs, and you only had to give, say, 50 cents, $1, maybe $2 for each one of those DVDs. And I can tell you right now, the box costs more than that, okay? And you could just give them out to every place. And, of course, every one of those DVDs gives people the opportunity to receive Jesus. Now, right now, yeah, I understand. Not as many people are going to be interested. Just talking to my son on the phone just a minute ago, and, the folks that go to our Prophecy Club meetings, most of them are white-headed, and I'm near white-headed. People about 50 years and under, not too interested in Bible prophecy. That's a big problem. And the millennials, clocked out. Most millennials, they're not even interested in the Bible. They're not interested in Jesus. They're not interested in Christianity. They sure aren't interested in Bible prophecy. I understand. Right now, not as many people are interested. However, there's going to come a time in the not too distant future when Bible prophecy is going to become very interested. Matter of fact, God told me in a dream a number of years ago that the day would arrive when the number one topic on the globe, all people, all nations, all languages, all want to know about is Bible prophecy. What I'm saying is this program, the Watchman's Trumpet program, will help you to get more pages in your book of works. It will help you to use your talents and your gifts. It will help you to build the kingdom of God by giving you the opportunity to share the DVDs that you've loved and watched for years, Prophecy Club DVDs, to your other fellow friends, brothers and sisters, neighbors, and people you work with. Fast, easy, quick, and inexpensive way to do it. Now, we're in the ballpark of about $150,000. We're trying to get a little bit less for right now. Let's just leave the target $150,000. That's what it's going to cost to do this program, anywhere from 2 to 6 months to put it together. But what I'm doing, if you're willing to donate to help it, I'm asking you to send your best gift and end the gift in the digit 7. When we see that 7, and you get a 20% bonus in credit. If you're going to send normally $100, then you're making $107. But I need your help. Jesus needs your help. He set a table, and he is expecting us to bring in people of every nation, kindred, and tongue to his marriage supper of the Lamb. Help me to bring in more people to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Won't it be wonderful to be seated with a full book of works, wearing the white wedding garment of fine linen, and hear, "Well done, thou good faithful servant. Now I'll make you ruler over many things." Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless. So, we get our taxes cut, and maybe Trump even fixes our health care. Well, you don't have to be a Bible prophecy expert to know we're still headed for troublous times, and gold and silver is still one of the best ways to preserve your assets for the coming trouble. The question is, what's best for my situation? Gold or silver? Bars or coins? Spot collectible or junk coins? Call my friends at Redwood Gold Group and ask for a free gold kit to get updated, because not all gold is equal. And ask for a free IRA kit, which will help you to make your decision to place gold in your IRA or not. And with a minimum order, you can get a free safe, which allows you to store your gold at home and still keep it in your IRA. Call 800-696-6414. 800-696-6414. It helps Prophecy Club. That's 800-696-6414. And mention Prophecy Club when you call. RedwoodGold.com. RedwoodGold.com. The number one killer in most emergency events, surprisingly, is drinking contaminated water. Being able to scoop water out of the puddle and filter it may save your life. I drink all of my water filtered through a Crown Berkey. Now, it's a gravity filter filtering down to virus levels. Contaminated water in the top gives you drinking water out the bottom. It's what the missionaries use. There are 7 Berkey options from 1 to 8 filters. Order them at prophecyclub.com. Be sure and order 2 to 4 extra black filters as backup. That's prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. Berkey Water Filter.